Hi, welcome to a special episode of Marriage News Watch. I'm here on the set of Husbands, an upcoming online sitcom that's a little bit Dr. Horrible, a little bit Will and Grace, and a little bit Mad About You. The show stars Brad Bell, aka the internet's Cheeks, as well as Sean Hemeon, who you might have caught last year on True Blood. The two play a gay couple that gets married on impulse and then has to figure out how to make it work. Rounding out the cast is Alessandra Torresani, who you might have caught on Caprica and Warehouse 13. Behind the camera, we have Jeff Greenstein, whose producer credits include Will and Grace, Friends, and Desperate Housewives. And the executive producer is Jane Espenson, whose writing credits include Buffy, Firefly, Dollhouse, and Torchwood. So I'm here with the cast of Husbands. Guys, thanks so much for joining us. So give me the elevator pitch for the show.
We've got the cast of Husbands and you've got me. I'm just the writer, executive producer.
Just Jane Espenson here. Hello.
Hello. Buffy, Battlestar Galactica. But anyway, the pitch for this show is it's Mad About You with two guys. So it's newlywed comedy. I said for too long, newlywed comedy has been defined as something that only happens between one man and one woman. But we're changing that. So that's this show, and this is the cast.
So there's been a lot of TV shows and movies and things in the past about gay couples and gay relationships. What is it about this one that's a little bit different?
I don't know that there have been a lot of movies and TV shows about gay relationships.
I mean, like Outfest every year and Frame Line.
Right. But I think we're coming up with a project that really feels like it could be mainstream television. Mm-hmm. We really want to feel like this is a sitcom you could turn on the way Mad About You is, and make it that genuine sort of adventures that a newlywed couple has. This just happens to be a same-sex couple. Mm-hmm. But Cheeks was really the one who came up with the notion for this show. So.
Well, I think it's not about them being gay. I mean, it is in the sense that it is the first time we're seeing this, and it sort of has the theme that gay people kind of don't know. Do we do it traditionally? Can we invent our own rules? Like, how do we do this? And at the same time, that's not what is the dominant element there. I think that what's there is much more universal in newlywed comedy that you've seen before, and just two people trying to figure it out, which I think everyone can relate to.
So it sounds like the show goes beyond the sort of the archetype of the gay character as the wacky neighbor who just shows up and says something silly.
Yeah. It's about the relationship, exactly. It's not about, sure, plenty of television shows and movies feature a gay character, but this is about the relationship between two men, and at the same time doesn't highlight the gay as much as, it's not trying to make a point about how gays need rights, or it's just set in a world where they have those rights, and now they're kind of like, what do we do?
Yeah, it kind of normalizes it, kind of just puts it in its place as like, okay, we're gay, and next, let's talk about where we have to get the grocery store today, that kind of thing.
Which in its own way is a kind of point. It's like we are saying equality and how important marriage equality is. It's just that we're sort of hiding that point by just saying, here's a married couple. See how they're just a married couple? See how they're trying to find their way?
And I think that putting it in a world where gays have those rights sort of, in its own way, supposes the point of view that, well, of course gays have rights then. And now what do we do? What's the next thing from there?
So how did the show materialize? Where did it come from?
Cheeks. Cheeks had a notion to do a different version that evolved into this show.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, where it was more about the relationship between a guy and his best friend that's a girl, and their trials and tribulations, and dealing with relationships, and more about Los Angeles culture, I think. And then from that sort of evolved into an idea that was more groundbreaking, in that it was a very classic premise of, the newlyweds, the two people, the odd couple, the opposites attract sort of storyline, but modernizing that, and then came Husbands.
Yeah, because once we sort of thought, oh wait, we want this to be something fresh and new. Ab-Fabs existed, and Will and Grace, thank you, has existed. What hasn't been done yet that needs to be done? What feels like it's the next thing? And this just feels like the show the network should be doing now. They'll probably do 3 years from now. But we can do it right now. Mm-hmm. Why not do it? Do it right. Do it the way we would like to see it done.
Right. And that's something that's very new, what with the internet being all video-y these days. And, you can just create something without having to wait for huge apparatus. But how did you get from, I've got a great idea, to we've taken over this end of the hotel and we're shooting things. We've got a whole crew and all this equipment.
In bed.
Well, I went to Joss Whedon, my mentor, who of course did Dr. Horrible, and he sent me to Felicia Day from the Guild, and they gave me advice. And one of the first pieces of advice was hire a line producer that you trust. And I found a good line producer, and then suddenly there were makeup people and wardrobe people and crew and cameramans and ADs and script supervisors and this crew just accrued. That's why we're called a crew. And we have suddenly found ourselves with this huge mechanism, and we're realizing that like just having all those people is elevating it. We were just talking about that this morning.
Mm-hmm.
Like,
because initially, my thinking was like, okay, we could do this and we could do it small, and like low risk, and let's keep everything tiny and do it off the grid, and nobody has to know we're in the hotel shooting anything. And as it went along, it got bigger and bigger and bigger. And at first, I was a little like, I don't know, I don't want to be responsible for any of this, like. And then we just decided, we had a conversation, decided, if we're gonna do it, let's do it right, do it big, and I'm really glad we did, because it's made a huge difference, and I think the product is, what we're getting so far is incredible.
the money is on the screen, as they say.
Mm.
Yeah. And we went pretty far down this road in terms of having all this stuff building up and getting ready and script revisions and blah, 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 before we had our second husband. We did not have Sean yet, so we were days away from doing a big cast photo shoot, and we didn't have our full cast. So that's how Sean came in.
They were getting married without the husband.
Yeah.
Coming with right.
Yeah, we were buying. I think we were on the verge of buying the rings, and we didn't have.
Well, yeah, I remember you saying, should I get rings? And I was like, well, let's wait till we have somebody to put them on. I don't know his ring size.
So how did they find you?
I was the last one they auditioned. They were looking for they're pretty specific. I mean, he has to look like an athlete, and I'm an out gay actor. They were looking for an out gay actor, and 25 to 30, and mid 20s. So they're looking for very specific, and they how many, I don't know how many they auditioned, but they auditioned a lot of people.
We auditioned a lot of guys.
And just kept going down the line, and I was that last person that walked in. They're like, Brady Kelly's here.
Thank goodness.
Yeah. Something like that, right?
Yes.
That's the story.
Yeah, you walked in and it was wonderful, and we were sold. That's how.
That's
how it went.
Thank you, honey.
Yeah.
So it sounds like the show's really come along very organically, and which is similar to how the marriage equality movement has gone. It's been very grassroots and just people doing what felt right. Do you see the show as being the online video equivalent of how the marriage equality movement has gone?
Including the setbacks. Like any process, you go forward, you go, oh wait, this isn't going to work. Let's try again. Let's keep trying. I think there is a parallel.
Mm-hmm. I think anything that has that sort of cultural power is always grassroots. You can have millions to spend in advertising to pump something into the system, and pluck somebody and put them at the top. But I think that anything that really resonates with people is always grassroots, because it's something people are talking about. It's something people emotionally believe in. And I do think that this is a project that is fun and it's entertaining. And at its core, I think that it represents a bigger idea about where people want to be moving in society.
And in our society, unfortunately, maybe fortunately, TV is the place to do that. Not that that's our intention or that's our goal, not at all. But we can do as much as we can grassroots effort with the marches and the petitions and all that. But to get into the hearts of the Midwest, you kind of need a platform like TV that does that.
Yeah.
Not that that's the message, but might as well.
Television is certainly a bigger platform. But I think the bottom line is that the sort of consciousness elevation always comes through the arts. So whether or not that's television or the internet, I think that when it resonates with the people and they're sharing it just by word of mouth, that's what makes a difference for a project.
Yeah.
So it sounds like you see yourselves as storytellers first, and do you see yourselves as activists second?
Oh, I see myself as an activist like 16th. I mean, it's incidental. I mean, that's the idea, but that's that'll come as a natural byproduct. You know what I mean? It's like trying to be funny. Like, do I see myself as being funny? No. I just do something that I think is, entertaining or different, and the natural byproduct may be that it's funny. So that's at least how I see it.
So the parallel you're saying is you're not setting out to change the world,
right?
But changing the world will come naturally with just being who you are
right.
and doing the projects you want to do.
Yes, and I think that if you set out with this intent to change the world, that your work could get too preachy, or that it might turn people off.
Propaganda.
Right, or be propaganda. So my intention is to make something that's universal, that people can relate to, that is different and fresh and represents a unique point of view. And yes, I think as a natural byproduct, that will open minds and hearts.
And laugh their asses off while they're...
Yeah, that's the
while
most important goal.
their hearts are opening and they're tripping over themselves in laughter while all of this is going on.
Right.
I would actually say that, it's important to forget the activist angle while we're doing the project.
Brilliant.
But always have it, I know on some level that it's always there. That we hope we understand that the goal is to open minds. We can't think about that all the time, because then that's all you think about and you lose the fun of it, because the fun's what actually opens the minds.
Well, there's some level of the responsibility there, because Modern Family had that whole thing with the gay kiss between the couple on the show, and it was like a whole hoopla just to get them to kiss, and there was a whole episode built around it.
Right.
So I agree, there's some level of responsibility, but you can't have it there as being an artist. You can't be free as an artist when it's like.
I think it sounds like it's emblematic of a big change in the conversation. It used to be that only activists were talking about gay marriage. If you were talking about gays getting married, you were an activist. But now it's just a conversation.
Right.
People have.
Right.
Well, and like I said, by creating a story that supposes that that's already legal, that gays have those rights, that's the world we live in.
Yeah.
Right.
Your message is clear. You don't have to be an activist about it, because that's the world it takes place in.
So is this a little bit of speculative fiction, or are they in Iowa, or where?
It's the not too distant future, I think.
Or an alternate reality, but
Well,
let's say
that's the not too distant future.
You're right, of course. It's the not too distant future.
Very close. Nearly there.
Yeah.
It could be in New York. So looking back over the last almost 3 years since Prop 8 passed, does that feel like it was just yesterday, or does that feel like it was a million years ago?
Feels like it was a long time ago for me.
It feels like the world's changed a lot.
Yeah, it definitely feels like a long time ago. Yeah.
And what's interesting is that it feels like the world has changed, and yet you still can't get married in California. So.
But it feels more inevitable now than it did then.
Yeah, no, because when it happened, things felt more epic. They were just like, it was like crack, poof, and all this stuff came out, and people just started talking about it. Like, I was forced to talk to my family about it, and other people were forced, and the conversations, spread in people's minds, opened up more, and the emotions calmed down more, and that's why it feels so long ago, because it's not as epic. It's not as like, oh yeah, gay marriage, whatever,
I really feel like the country has shifted visibly just recently and has momentum now, and that's well, you're right. It's the not too distant future, don't you think?
Yeah.
I do and I don't. I'm an eternal optimist. To know that there are still 29 states in which you can be fired for being gay. To a degree, it's almost like, isn't that more important than marriage? If I could fix one or the other, it'd be getting rid of that law before implementing marriage laws. And not that, that there is a real priority there, but...
Then we're doing the wrong comment. We gotta change this.
Yeah, let's redo this.
No, but boss and you get fired.
I think that there is it seems, in my point of view, there's a give and a take. Like, marriage is legal, and then it's not, and then there's this, and there's opposition, and so I feel like it's this tug of war, and I do feel like it is increasingly in favor of equal rights. I just don't know that, like, one more go round and we'll be set,
Well, yeah, not set maybe.
Has doing the show made you re-examine your own feelings about marriage? Or is this reinforcing your own?
None of us have an answer.
No,
None of us are married.
There is a part to his character that really feels that the relationship should be equal, and I was raised with the very patriarchal family, and so my mother was like okay being not so equal to my father, and so I really that brought that more to light, and that's a universal thing that I thought was fantastic, just kind of equalizing the relationship, like getting rid of the womanly duties, the manly duties, just getting rid of the labels, period, and just having this equal, load with the marriage and everything. So that brought that to light for me.
Mm-hmm.
I never have gotten married. I never sort of believed in marriage. Like, to me, I was one of those, it's just a piece of paper people. But something about seeing this fight has actually made me see marriage with the romance and understanding of what the commitment means that I think a lot of other people have built in that I'd never really gotten. Like, seeing it through their eyes when something's denied, and you can kind of sort of see it more clearly than when you're right in the middle of it. It's always been available to me and was never very appealing. Now, seen from the outside, I kind of get like, oh, that's kind of a beautiful thing. It's saying like I am willing to be there for you forever. Like, that's huge, and it's really very lovely. And I feel like I've got fresh eyes for it.
Oh, that's great. And hopefully that's something that the audience will experience as well as they're falling over themselves laughing.
Yes! They will be falling in love at the same time they're falling over laughing.
Fantastic. Well, Brad, Sean, Jane, thank you so much for talking with us.
Thank you so
Thank
much.
you very much.
Can't wait to see the
Appreciate
show.
it. Yeah.
Thank you.
Husbandstheseries.com. September 13th is when we air. That's 13 days before my birthday. September 13th. Husbandstheseries.com.
How old are you going to be, Sean?
September 13th. Husbands the Series. I'll be in the 25 to the mid-20 age range.
Thank you.